Please.
The first issue, sir, relates to the advisories, including the advisory starting on 15th of February. I would like the honorable members to understand what was the ground situation. We issued very clear advisories because when an embassy tells students or Indian nationals saying if your stay is not essential, consider going back home, it is not something that is done lightly. It is something that students take very seriously, that other nationals also take. But I would like honorable members to understand the problem that the students faced. I have with me a list of universities. We approached, I don't want to take the name of the universities, but there was one big university which would not convert the mode of education to online, and in fact said that if anybody leaves at this time, they are jeopardizing their degree. There's a second university which said, I'll give you only online till February 25. There's a third university which said, I'll only give you for 2 weeks. One of them said, I'll give you till April 1. One of them said, I'll give you till May 1. Now, it is not correct.
Please,
No,
please.
look, the students have a future. The students have a future. I care about it whether you do or not. This is not correct. So, the fact, sir, that all the honorable members should appreciate is that students were actually not encouraged, in fact positively discouraged by the universities from leaving, and this was part of the process. The second issue, when I said confusing political signals, it was not confusing understanding. I'm not the person who is giving signals. I'm the person receiving signals. The signals actually came from the politics of that country. I will, for example, with your permission, sir, read out what the president of the country was saying at that time. He was publicly saying, President Zelensky, please don't be alarmed. What we should prevent at any cost is to prevent a spread of panic. Now, what was happening for students living in Ukraine was they were watching Ukrainian television. They were reading Ukrainian newspapers. They were seeing signals from the Ukrainian government saying, no, don't get alarmed, don't leave. In fact, you had leaders who were saying anybody leaving is contributing to a sense of panic. So I think, and we should also understand, sitting here, it is very easy to pass judgments saying you should have done this earlier or you should have done this faster. Please understand what was the situation of the students. The students, who do they listen to? They listen first of all to the university. They listen to their student advisors. They listen to the local government. They listen to other students. They talk to their families and say, should I come back or not? But having said all that, let us also recognize about 4,000 of them actually returned due to our advisories. So please think that through. If our advisories were of no use, why did 4,000 people come back? The fact is, advisories impacted many people. There were also others who were in a predicament, and because of that predicament, many of them put it off. In fact, on the day the fighting broke out, there was actually a plane on its way, which we had to call back. So today, to make this very sweeping judgments that you should have done that or you should have done this, I think it is most of all, forget the government. We are used to criticism. Please think of the students. Don't tell students who are in that situation that at that time their judgment was wrong. I think they did what was they thought right under the circumstances, and we should not second guess them at this time. In fact, from our side, we also increased the number of flights at that time to encourage people to come and to reduce the cost of the flights back home. The second issue, which was raised by Honorable Leader of Opposition, was regarding this unfortunate case of Naveen, and I've said it in my statement also. We will ensure that his mortal remains are brought back to this country. At this time, there are some processes at play. I don't want to share too many things at the moment until the picture is a little clearer, but I want to be very clear to the House through you, sir, that we will make every effort to bring back his mortal remains. So that assurance I am willing to give. As regards what our position is at the international forums, Vaikoji was among the members who mentioned it. I think we have expressed what I believe is actually a national consensus on this matter. It is a consensus that I also saw reflected in our own consultative committee meeting, that I think most political parties, most members of parliament all agree with the position which the government has taken, that the only way out is to return to dialogue and diplomacy, that there should be a cessation of violence, and that India's voice, I think today, is an important voice in urging that. It's not just a voice only for urging diplomacy and dialogue. It was, after all, the Prime Minister, when the Prime Minister did call up President Putin and President Zelensky and urged them to even have a ceasefire of a limited nature. These were the two occasions when our students were involved, were actually the two occasions when the ceasefire actually worked. In many cases, ceasefires were agreed to, and they were violated even as they were to come into effect. So I think India's voice counts. India's focus was naturally on the evacuation of students, but now that more or less that job is done, we can obviously focus fully on diplomacy. Regarding the point which was raised by Mishra ji, I would like to say there are some odd people, not in thousands, there are in double digits people who are there. We are tracking them. We have issued repeated advisories saying anybody who is left behind, please tell us where you are. We have not been very public about it for their own safety. But again, even as I am speaking, sir, at this moment we have an operation to get out some students who are stuck in the south through the Russia route. So our effort will be anybody who's stuck, we will keep trying to bring them out. I think again the House should have that assurance. The question which was raised, does this qualify as evacuation? The advisory which we issued initially was an advisory urging students and all Indian nationals to go back. But after February 24th, when we started sending planes, civil aircraft, military aircraft, when we started deputing people, when we started running camps, and again, one issue was we were not present in the conflict areas. I would like to correct you. We were. Our officers actually went even into Sumi. There were people outside Sumi. The first people that Indian students saw when they came out of Sumi were our officers. So I think we should be correct on facts. We should give credit that is due. So I would say, please again understand, this is a very large country. Obviously, when the war started, there was martial law, there were restrictions on movement. Within these constraints, I think the embassy, the officers who were deputed, all the other organizations, including the volunteers and the civil society representatives, did all that they could. So again, I would urge all honorable members to recognize what efforts were made in this operation. And finally, regarding the concern which many members expressed about the future of the students, they have just come back. We have to see what happens in the situation, including the online classes issue that we were addressing earlier. But I cannot say anything more. It's not directly my remit. But I can assure you that the government will approach this matter with the fullest sense of responsibility. Thank you.